on blue?
You probably forgot.
Nope. It's important. It's going to stand out in your folder, right? If I take the time to print it on colored paper, never throw it away. You just Germexing that? All right. Oh, thank God for Germex. That got real awkward real fast. Okay, here we go. So don't throw this away all year long because we're going to reference it in December. We're going to reference it in April. We're going to reference it throughout the school year. Okay? So don't throw it away. So we have different properties, and we're going to write the technical definition, and then we're going to provide some examples. A lot of times the examples are more helpful than the words are. Anything on here, by the raise of your hand, that you already know? Jackson.
The commutative and the associative property.
Okay, you pick one and tell me about it.
Oh, I can't think of them off the top of my head, but I know what they are. Like we've learned them before.
Oh, so you recognize them. Maddox, can you help him?
The associative property, like switch numbers or something. No.
Oh,
Isaac?
it doesn't.
The commutative property can like change numbers around.
The commutative you can change. What operations does that work on? Addition and multiplication. Okay, so let's go to the commutative property. Make a note for yourself. It can be addition or multiplication. Addition or multiplication. In the definition is the order you multiply or divide does not change the answer. Yeah, you're right. The order in which you multiply or divide or add. How about that? Oh my gosh, who's teaching this? You guys are me. Thank God for you guys. Wow, 2:30, I think my brain shut off. You're right. You can only do that for adding and multiplying. I was just checking you were paying attention. Okay? So then as an example, 3 times 4 times 5 is really the same as 4 times 3 times 5. We swapped the 3 and the 4. Or 7 plus 2 plus 3 is the same as 7 plus 3 plus 2. Nicely done, Isaac. Another one you know. Do you actually know the definition or you just recognize it? Okay, do you know what it is? Sophia.
So when there's like parentheses around the numbers.
Associative has to deal with the parentheses. So in this one, again, addition or multiplication, the way, oops, I should spell that word correctly, you group, because this deals with parentheses, the way you group addition or multiplication does not change the answer. So in parentheses, 2 plus 5, close the parentheses, plus 6 is really the same as 2 plus parenthesis 5 plus 6, close your parenthesis. So in that one, your parentheses move. Maddox.
Is the multiplication property of 0 can be multiplied by 0 to get 0?
That is 100% right. The multiplicative property of 0 is any number times 0 is 0. Seven times 0 is 0. X times 0 is 0. Number or variable times 0 is 0. Okay, focus. You're wasting your own time. What else you got? What's inverse mean?
Like reverse,
What's inverse mean?
the opposite.
The opposite? So additive inverse. What could you give me as an example that would tell me additive inverse? Jackson?
Would it be like if you were adding negative numbers? Like,
Give me an example. Because I got to put an example up here anyway.
it's like -2 plus -3, but it could just be 0 minus 5.
Nope. Maddox?
Could it be like 2? -3?
Nope. Thatcher?
Is it like -2 plus -3
No.
the same as 2 plus?
Add inverse. Add inverse. Brianna?
Just subtraction.
Nope. Add inverse, Zach. Add inverse. What'd you tell me the inverse was? The opposite. Maya.
I was just gonna say like 3 plus like -4 is the same as like 4 plus.
Nope.
Is it where you can't switch the numbers?
Nope. It has nothing to do with switching numbers. Add the inverse.
Oh, inverse.
You add the inverse. So Meg,
Is it 6 plus -6?
what are you going to get?
0.
Every time. So the additive inverse says any number added to its inverse is always 0. Seven plus -7 is 0. So let's go down to multiplicative inverse. This one's not as straightforward. Multiplicative inverse says any number multiplied by its reciprocal equals 1. Any number multiplied by its reciprocal is 1. Here's the real question though. What's the reciprocal? Just change what you have on the side so you don't have to rewrite the whole thing. So I'm going to give you a number, 2/3. 3/2. You flip the fraction, remember that? Question, what about -7/6? What's its reciprocal? Very good. And some people are like, but the negative should be in the bottom. Don't ever put it in the bottom. It gets lost. The biggest thing is whenever you multiply them, you always get a +1. So they both are going to end up being negatives. What's identity mean? And don't even think about math. What does identity mean? I'm muting Jackson. were you gonna say?
What? I said what something is.
Yeah, what something is. What defines it, right? When you are around other people, you should never change your identity. You know what I mean by that? Just because you're with a different group of people shouldn't change who you are as a person. So if I want to talk about the multiplicative identity, what could I multiply by that's not going to change what I started with? 1. The multiplicative identity states any number multiplied by 1 is equal to the original number. Any number multiplied by 1 is equal to the original number. 3 times 1 is 3. 1 times y is y. So let's stick with that word identity, right? Additive identity. Careful. It's 0. Additive identity states any number added to 0 is the original number. Any number added to 0 is the original number. -6 plus 0 is still -6. Z plus 0 is still Z. Substitution property. Those of you playing volleyball, those of you playing football, you have substitutions during the game, yes? What does that mean?
I mean,
Trade them
swap.
out.
You trade them out. So like when your center comes out, you put the running back in, right? When your front row girl comes out, you put somebody that's a back row expert in.
No.
No,
Why not?
those are two different things.
They're two different things. So what do you think's key about the substitution property?
Same thing.
They need to be equal in order for you to swap them. Okay? So the substitution property states putting a value into an equal position in an expression. And I'll give you an example here. Putting a value into an equal position in an expression. So this would say something like 7 plus x if x equals 3. Then 7 plus 3. X is equal to 3, so we know they're equal, then I can swap them out. And I always use sports as an example in there is you don't want to swap your center for your running back. Your quarterback is going to be flattened in a heartbeat. You don't want somebody that hits in the back row to try to be spiking the ball over the net. You don't want somebody that runs distance to go in and try to run the 100-meter dash. Ain't going to go well. Okay. Transitive property, I think of a train. Okay. If A equals B and B equals C, then A equals C. Technically, all of them would be equal, right? I heard that. A equals B, B equals C. We can actually just know that A and C are equal. So if we know 6 plus 9 equals 12 plus 5, 12 plus 3 maybe. And 3 plus 12 is 15. Then 6 plus 9 equals 15. Symmetric. Do you remember doing art projects with symmetry in elementary school? With the butterfly, and you painted one wing of the butterfly and you folded the paper in half, and then when you open it up, you're like, look, my butterfly's symmetric. Everything I did on one side is now on the other. That's the same thing in math, okay? So symmetry, I always talk about the fold. If one quantity equals the other, then the second equals the first. Eight equals 2 plus 6. Then 2 plus 6 equals 8. I always talk about, like when we start solving equations, I always want my equal sign on the right-hand side and my variables on the left. It doesn't really matter, but I'm a little crazy, so I always like to do it that way. So I always move things around. Technically, it doesn't matter because you have that equal sign. You can flop them. And the reflexive is like a mirror. Any quantity is always equal to itself. A is equal to A. 7 is equal to 7. Negative 12 is equal to negative 12. Now, during your homework assignment, can you reference this sheet? 110%. They're your notes. Because your homework is practice. My goal is that you would try to do some of it on your own. If you use the check button, which I'll talk to you about in a minute here, then you're like, okay, now I got to get this out. But always to try the first time on your own. Okay, don't pack anything up. Pay attention for me. This is the first time that you guys have done an online assignment for me. Online assignments are always graded. You have to get 100 in order to earn full credit. But I give you unlimited attempts. Okay? Okay, so if I get into your class, when you guys log in today, if you finished your knowledge check, this is what your screen will look like. So on the left-hand side, it shows you 1-3 and you can get started. Another way you can always access it is these 3 horizontal lines and then go down to assignments. These objectives of different chapters show up in there. I don't know how to get rid of them. You never have to do them, okay? I don't grade you on your pie chart. Topics are always nice to pass the time if you need something to do. Online homework is always closed at 8 a.m. the following school day. So it shows you this closes tomorrow at 8 a.m. I know some of you do algebra during enrichment. If it's a book assignment or a worksheet, that's fine. Have it done before class. But tonight's online closes at 8 a.m. and I won't reopen it. Unlimited attempts, 12 questions. It's always a quick retake. You only have to do the ones you got wrong again. So this is what it's going to look like today. Choose the property that justifies the equation. And I always tell people, click on your options. 1 times B equals B. What is that? Multiplicative identity. Second one, 7 plus n plus 5 or 7 plus n plus 5? Now, there's an addition, there's a multiplication. Addition. A times 0 is 0. Good. 4 times C equals C times 4. Very good. I was going to say addition or multiplication. Yay! All right, we hit the check button. It says good work. You got them right. You go on. Just wait, just wait, just wait. Okay, so say you do this one. And you're just taking the blind test here of picking randos. And you check it and it says nope. And it even tells you what rows are wrong. You check it again. It says, oh, come on, give her one last shot. And then you get the big red X. Okay? With online homework, you have to get 100% in order to earn full credit. My purpose is because I want the practice and to fine-tune your skills and even questioning. So when you go and you submit, if you hit report, you can go to the problem you got wrong. We did number 2 and got it wrong. And you go to these glasses right here. It will walk you through step by step why each one is the property that it is. This is probably most important when you're at home, right? When you don't have me as a reference. Okay? You're like, oh, duh, I know how to do this. You click quick retake. You hit start. The nice thing is you got number 1 right. You don't have to do it again. I don't care if it takes you 37 attempts. I hope to God it doesn't take you 37 attempts. But if it does, so be it. I have some people that do one problem, and as soon as they get it wrong, they go and get a new one. I don't care, okay? You don't have anything to have to turn into me for online homework. Now, when we get into solving equations and you raise your hand like, Ms. Hoff, it says x equals 6 is wrong, and I say, well, where's your work? And you're like, well, I don't have any, and I can't really help you, right? You're going to write stuff down, but you don't have to turn it in. Questions? You can get started. Opens at 8 or closes at 8 a.m. tomorrow. It closes at 8 a.m. tomorrow. No.